We're making Italian cream cake today. Welcome to Help at Home, your resource for great recipes and easy learning. I'm Jim Hightower. Well, after the 2-week poll that I polled you on to find out what you'd like to see next, guess what won? That's right, Italian cream cake. So here we go. Grab your pen and paper, if you so desire. Here come the ingredients. 1 cup buttermilk, 1 teaspoon soda, that's soda, not baking powder, 5 eggs, separated, and we'll explain that later, 2 cups sugar, 1 stick margarine, but of course I prefer butter, half a cup of shortening like Crisco, 2 cups flour, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1 cup chopped nuts, and 2 small cans of coconut. Now, we'll talk about that more in a minute. That's the ingredients for the cake, but here are the ingredients for the cream cheese icing. 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese softened, 1 stick margarine, but of course you want butter, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and 1 pound of powdered sugar. Now that's about 3 3/4 cups of powdered sugar. Now to start with, we need to separate these eggs, and if you've never done that before, you may think it's a daunting task, but it's not. Just follow me here, and I'll show you as much as possible. Now I've got 3 egg yolks in my little blue bowl and 3 egg whites in my glass bowl. I'm just hit that on the side of the bowl and carefully open it. Now of course that one's a little difficult, and your egg white starts coming out. You want to let that go and then catch your egg yolk in this, and you go back and forth, but really there wasn't any more egg yolk there. Now I'm going to show you something else. Again, this is from Julia Child. So for all those people that don't like me using my hands, which really it was only 2 of you, you're going to have to get over it. Watch this. I did this before in one of my videos. You can separate the eggs using your impeccably clean hands, as she would say. You just put it in there, you let the egg white go through, move your fingers a little bit, and look, there's just a tiny bit of egg white coming through there. Move your fingers a little bit, and look, there's just a tiny bit of egg white coming through there. There's your egg yolk. Clean as can be. Now I'm going to wash again. We're about to get into our cake making part, and you need the nuts. Here's a handy way. If you don't have a food chopper or food processor, you know, I have all those things, but sometimes you don't want to drag them all out. Put your pecans or your nuts in a little bag. Get your rolling pin, the one that lets you say you're in charge, and just beat it. I'm going to use this to mix up the sugar, shortening, and butter. Now I'll turn this around so you can see over here better. And it normally turns itself. I'll use the Some Bunnies Love You green spatula, whichever one should have. Need to hook it. There we go. You want it to be kind of light and fluffy and not gritty with that sugar. You just let it go a few minutes, and be sure that you wipe your sides and bottom of the bowl so that everything gets incorporated. That is fluffy enough, and I'll get some here and let you see. It's not going to be perfectly creamy, but that's what we're looking for. So 1 cup of buttermilk. Ooh, that's a little too creamy. I mean, a little too watery. Just shake that up. There you go. Because buttermilk should be kind of thick and, well, thick. 1 teaspoon of soda. Alright, here's my measuring spoons. 1 spoon. Scrape it off even on top of your deal. Your box there. Grab a little butter knife and give that a little stir. Here it comes. Now let's talk about the coconut, because this needs to sit for a couple of minutes. The recipe calls for 2 cans of coconut or 2 cups. Well, that was late 60s, early 70s, and nowadays I couldn't even find a can of coconut. I could find coconut milk, but buy a package of sweetened coconut flakes. So I'm going to set these things aside. Preheat your oven to 325 degrees. The next thing we need to do is flour, or butter and flour our pans. And I have this nice sized basting brush. It's silicone. And you just go all around. Be very generous. And let me tell you, I'm going to do a video sometime, I think I'll call it Learning with Jim, about how the only thing that is suitable for greasing a pan with is butter. But butter has never let me down. And then you take about 1/4 cup of flour and you beat that all around, get your sides. Now, here's the next trick. While you're over your next pan, roll it and do your sides. Hope you can see that. And then, so that one's ready. Next is, with the last pan, you do the sides over your trash can. And then you just, as Julia would say, you give it a good whack. There it is. Alright, now we need to mix in the egg yolks one at a time. So, there's one. I'll let that fall. 4 1/2 and 5. Get that out of there. And there's my sink. I am cleaning up any egg drop or splatter right away, and I'll be using my soapy stuff at the end. Now we need to alternate mixing in the dry ingredients and the buttermilk. You always start dry. A little more. Well, I'd go about 1/3, but that might have been a little bit more than 1/3. Little flour dust. Here's another funny tidbit. Somebody told me not to tap on the mixing bowl with plastic or metal or glass because it might get plastic or metal or what in there. I'm gonna leave that one to you to think about, but I'm done thinking about it. You do want to let this beat for a couple of minutes. And stirring the bottom and the sides is always a good idea. And it is nice and creamy. This happens to be my homemade vanilla, which is yummy. And you can go back and watch that video. I actually have two videos. I make it and then a vanilla update. So I will need to rinse out that measuring spoon and clean it. Alright. Now we're going to beat these egg whites until they're at stiff peaks. So you start off slow. And what you want to do is break up the egg whites until they're foamy. Now this can go a little faster. They're starting to foam a little. It doesn't take long at all. Alright. Surely you can see that foam. Now, what this is cream of tartar. And you get it at the grocery store near the spices. And this is not in the recipe, but it's something, again, that I've learned from Julia Child, and it works whether your recipe calls for it or not, with egg whites. Put about 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar in with 3 to 5 egg whites, and mix it in after it's foamy. And what you'll find is this cream of tartar helps hold up the egg whites. It helps them to stay at a stiff peak. So that's mixed in. Then you want to slowly start speeding it up. Now again, you don't want to go fast, too fast, otherwise you'll get whack all over the kitchen, and nobody likes that. This should take, I would say, 3 to 4 minutes tops, usually, because what you want to do is take your eggs out and let them sit for about 20 minutes, let them get to room temperature, and they'll whip up a lot better. If you try to beat up cold egg whites, they won't mount as high. And we'll just speed it up some more. Now, you'll start to see that as they start mounting, the beaters are making a design in the top of the egg white. And I'm going to get my handy spatula here, and because like when you're whipping whipped cream, now whipped cream will turn into butter if you go too far, but egg whites will get dry and grainy and they won't mount. Now see, there's a little point, and you just touch it and you can look around on your little spatula and look for your points, or check it like this and it doesn't fall off, doesn't fall down. Stiff peaks. Now we need to slowly stir in our egg whites. Of course, the first thing you can do is put about 1/4 or 1/2 of them in there and just stir it up to lighten the batter. Now, what you want to do is take about 1/4 at a time and fold, dip under and come over, under and over, and you just keep doing that. Then you get some more egg whites, and the egg whites will lighten up the dough, and you'll notice we did not have any baking powder. We did have some soda in the milk. This folding is something that you really should learn because it comes back over and over in cooking. I find it interesting that this recipe has you put the egg whites in and then put these heavier ingredients in like coconut and nuts, but who knows. I'm just going to do 1 cup at a time, carefully fold it in. You don't want to deflate those egg whites. Now, shake that and then do that. Down and over, down and over. Same thing with your nuts. About a cup of nuts. Not quite all that bag. And here's my shoe again. Just quickly fold it in. You don't want to stir because you would end up deflating the egg whites. You just want to fold it enough to get the nuts and coconut incorporated in the batter. Here comes the fun part. I'm going to start with the small one and go to the next one and go here. You want to spread that out to the sides into your preheated 325 degree oven for 25 minutes. I would check it at 20 minutes. You know, with today's AccuBake and all that business, they tend to cook faster on top. You don't want it to burn. This is too good. Back in 25. Oh, by the way, put these in the lower third of your oven, not up high, because then they will overbrown. Here they are out of the oven. Now, I have let them cool for about 15 minutes. It's a good idea. Remember, with breads, and cakes are breads, you need to let them cool off, recompose themselves, and come back together so that you'll be successful every time. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to do one at a time. You take your knife and go around the edge. Also, I want you to see, when you butter and flour, the cake pulls away from the edges, and it has. Turn your cooling rack upside down, and then you can give it one little whack. It should come out easily. A couple of pecans stuck to the bottom, but you know what? I am very pleased with that. Some people would turn this back over so you don't have these designs on the top, but guess what? You're going to be putting frosting on there, so who cares? Ta-da! 2 for 2. And then I have this cooling rack, and every once in a while you may gouge your cake, but again, it's going to have frosting on it. Nobody will know. So don't get upset. Turn it upside down, one little whack, and ta-da! See how nice? I'm going to set these cakes over here, and I like to let them cool. I like to give it about an hour. Your frosting is somewhat heavy, and these cakes are delicate, so if you don't let them cool off and set up good, then you're going to tear your cake. She'll be sad, and it won't be a good thing. It's time to make that frosting. So, I have my cream cheese and my butter in the bowl here of my stand mixer, and that really does make things easier. I have set these out to get to room temperature for about an hour and a half. It doesn't hurt it at all. So let's just whip this up. Now, my little bowl the screw end has broken off partly, so I have to hold it. But as you can see, it's there. That took what? 20 seconds? I can just wipe the sides of the bowl and wipe down the beater. Powdered sugar, 1 pound is about 3 3/4 cups. I'm even going to mix in 1 cup here. And I'm doing a little bit less. It doesn't hurt. So that's 1 3/4. And you give it a few seconds to stir in. Then you go for your 2nd cup. Shake that off. It needs to beat for a few seconds more. But this last cup, I need to get this stirred in before I scrape the sides. Now you can see this is a nice thick frosting, and it's wonderful. You'll love it. And you know what? With this homemade vanilla, you just can't hurt it if you put too much. So here's about 1 teaspoon exactly. And then, well, I'm going to let that turn around to the next little cup. Alright. See, I mean, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, but it's just too thick. But I have a plan. You need to make things your own, and I did that with the Jello pudding cake, but, and again, I appreciate everybody watching that video. That video was 5 years old. I made a change in that. I'm going to make a change here. I have 1/4 cup of milk. Now, I'm not going to put it all in, but I'm going to start with maybe half of it, about 2 tablespoons. Which, if you don't know, that makes 1/8 cup. Ooh. Ooh. I should have expected that little bit of whamp. Yeah, now that's falling off of it somewhat. Here we go. We have our first cake, and we'll be careful with our crumbs. I'll put that down right in the middle. And then what we'll do here is get a small amount and see how nice it spreads with that little bit of milk. Now, you don't want to put too much between the layers, or you won't have enough to go on your sides. So, just try to make it go as far as you can. That's as far as I'm going to go on that layer. I think I'll just put it right there. A couple of nice plops of this frosting. It's nice. It lets you put the pressure up here, and just turns out nice. Both sides of all these look nice, so I'm just putting them all face up. But I know that some of you will swear by maybe turning the middle one upside down or something like that. Alright, let's take another couple of nice plops of our frosting on top. Here we go. We just kind of do that, and then, and these cake decorating spatulas are not very expensive, I don't think. I mean, even at $10, I think it would be well worth it. Here's how you do it. It's kind of hard for me to get to where you can see it, but you start and up here, and you spread that as best you can. Go for more, and you just spread it. Your aim is not to get it on the doily, but sometimes that will happen. Now, you don't need to see me do this whole cake, so I'm going to do that and I'll be back. Now, I want you to see that's practically it. It's not 100% perfect, but look how much frosting I have left. Then, what I can do is go ahead and put a nice thick layer on top. Ooh, thick layer on top. Ooh, thick layer on top. Ooh, thick layer on top. Ooh. I wasn't expecting that little shot over there. If my camera got it, I'll do a slow-mo. That'll be fun to look at. But this is fun. I think you would enjoy making this cake, and even though it takes a little extra time to ice a cake, it sure is nice. And people love this cake. There it is. That's where I'm going to stop. Now we need a nice cake safe or a cake stand to put it on. So here we go. Everybody should have a cake safe, and that's what this is. Time to taste it. The cake is moist and tender, and you have that cream cheese icing, and of course the pecans, but you can absolutely make this without any kind of nuts at all. So I hope you enjoy this. It is one in a million. Now, because this does have cream cheese in it, I think it's very important that you keep it in the refrigerator. If you like this recipe for Italian cream cake, the best in Texas, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and share with your friends who like to cook or just want to learn how. Drop me a line in the comments below about your experience with this recipe and what else you'd like to see in the kitchen. Click the bell below the video for all notifications, and then you'll receive notifications in the top right hand corner bell. I'm Jim Hightower, and remember, everyone needs help, even me. Enjoy and be well. Scratch that. Now, the next thing we need to do, ta-da! This cake is somewhat delicate, but and these cakes they're cakes. Now that, ooh, very loud, a 10-inch or 9-inch cake wrap, have a little nasal issue there. Subscribe and share with your friends. Whoopsie.